Good evening, everyone. Jesus told his disciples this parable. A man going on a journey called in his servants and entrusted his possessions to them. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to a third 1, to each according to his ability. Then he went away. Matthew 25, verses 14 to 15. Many people dream of doing great things in this life. Those who play sports dream of winning the championship. Those in business dream of growing their business. Artists and actors dream of becoming well known. In almost everything we do, we dream of excelling. This drive is part of the natural desires God has given to us. When it comes to the most important part of our lives, we must strive to excel also. What is the most important part of our lives? It is the calling we have received to serve the will of God. Therefore, we must strive to unite our natural desire for excellence with our faith so that we will be driven to fulfill the glorious mission of God has entrusted to each one of us. Every natural ability we have must be seen as a gift, given to us by God for the purpose of glorifying Him and furthering His kingdom on earth. In our parable today, the man who went on a journey entrusted each of his servants with a large sum of money. To one he entrusted 5 talents, to another 2, to a third 1. A talent was a measure of precious metals such as silver or gold. In today's value, 1 talent of silver would be worth about 30,000 US dollars. That's a lot of money entrusted to each of these servants. However, when the master returned, he referred to this initial gift to each as a small amount and then promised to entrust a large amount to the 2 servants who used the talents well. From a human perspective, we should see the natural gifts that God has given to us as a huge amount. From a divine perspective, we must see every natural gift from God as only the beginning. God has so much more He wishes to bestow upon us. In order to obtain those riches of grace, we must first use well what we have been given for God's glory and for the furtherance of His kingdom. What has our Lord entrusted to you? What gifts and talents do you have? As you think about your natural talents, consider how well you use them for the service of God. Using your natural abilities only for yourself is the same as refusing to use them for God. To the one man who was entrusted with 1 talent and did nothing with it, the master said, "You wicked, lazy servant." He then took the 1 talent away and gave it to the one with 10 who was responsible with the master's money. So in our lives, if we fail to dedicate our natural abilities to the service of God, we will lose even the little we have. But if we unite our natural desire for greatness with the call to serve the will of God, then there is no limit to the riches of grace God will bestow. Reflect today upon how diligent you are in your drive to fulfill the will of God in your life. If you feel as though you cannot make much of a difference, then try to dispel that idea. Try to do small things well. Work at perfecting your charity in your daily life. Commit yourself to daily prayer. Strive to weed out all sin in your life. Do the small things well, and God will smile on these little offerings and transform them into a superabundance of grace. And God bless you.
Talents given, invested, and shared. In this 33rd Sunday, in ordinary time, brothers and sisters, we have this parable of talents given to three kinds of people with three various number of talents. For some Sunday, starting last Sunday until next Sunday, which is the last Sunday before we enter into the season of Advent, our focus is basically on the Lord's judgment, preparation for the coming of the Lord in our midst. The Lord will come just like a thief in the night. Last Sunday, we have seen how the Lord challenged 10 virgins waiting for the arrival or the coming of the bridegroom. 5 were called wise, 5 were called foolish. They were wise precisely because they brought with them some extra flask of oil, meaning to say, while the bridegroom arrived so late in the evening, still they had some extra provisions, still they had extra oil. That's why their light did not run out. For a simple reason that they had extra oil in their midst. On the other hand, the foolish virgins brought with them just enough oil while waiting for the bridegroom. The bridegroom arrived very late, and thus they were in panic, looking for extra oil, only to know that even the wise virgins could not share what they have, and they have to look elsewhere. That's why when the bridegroom arrived, then off to go, and they were not entertained, for the Lord told them, I don't know you. For a simple reason that there were no extra flask of oil brought by the foolish virgin. Next Sunday, brothers and sisters, our gospel will focus on the separation of the sheep from the goats. On the last final judgment by the Lord, He will not ask us on how many properties, how good are we, how faithful are we in following the commandments of the Lord. The Lord will simply ask us, how have we been a brother, a sister, my brothers and sisters, especially in need. Now, for today, brothers and sisters, the parable is telling us about the parable of the talents being given by the Lord, invested by the people, and supposedly shared by them in accordance to the talents they have invested upon the return of the Master. Now, what does this parable telling us? First, that all of us are given tremendous trusts and talents by the Lord. Even how simple or humble or small we are, yet all of us are being provided talents that we have to invest. that you have to share, that you have to multiply, as these talents are not for us. These talents are being given to us for the good of the church and for the good of our Christian community. Now, the two good men have manifested that they have multiplied the talents afforded to them by the Lord. That's why at the end of the parable, the Lord told them, good and faithful servants. As I was giving you this opportunity to invest your talents, I will be giving you more what you expect. For a simple reason, that you invest the talents that I have given you. But for the last servant, the Lord was telling, you lazy and lousy servant, the little you have, it will be taken from you and it will be given to the one who has more. He was brought outside in the dark when there was railing and winding up day. Now, what could be the challenge for all of us, brothers and sisters in this parable? One of the greatest challenges is to accept that all of us have been given by the Lord with tremendous talents, with equal opportunities, with equal possibilities, yet with different capabilities and different way of using the talent depending on our capacity to multiply, to invest these talents. At the end of the day, the Lord will not ask us how far we have increased the talents. But the most important thing is how have we tried our best to invest, to multiply, to make the best out of even a simple talent, and yet we heartedly do it, actualize it, make the best out of the talents, not for our own good, but for the good of others. So friends, as we try to reflect this 33rd Sunday in ordinary time, especially preparing ourselves for the coming of the Lord in our midst, and next week for the feast of Christ the King of all kings, the Lord of all lords, the Alpha and the Omega. Hopefully, as the Lord has afforded us with these simple, humble talents, we make the best out of it. We make our best effort that this talent will be made for the service of others and for the service of the church. Pleasant Sunday, God bless you.